security alignments in Europe as Finland and Sweden apply to join NATO. This has been in the works for several months now. The leaders of those countries will now visit the White House later this morning as it becomes more and more a near reality. The Swedish Prime Minister and Finnish President meeting with President Biden at 9 this morning Eastern Time. On their agenda, the historic move towards NATO membership, the war in Ukraine, and European security as a whole. Joe Khalil has more from Washington. Joe?
Yeah, Adrian, Jake Sullivan, the national security advisor, said that when the Swedish prime minister and the Finnish president come to the White House, they're going to be discussing really the next steps that they need to take in order to finalize their bid into NATO. But look, obviously, we know this is much more than that. This is a really important symbolic gesture, and having the two leaders of these nations come to the White House in this crucial moment elevates their bid to join NATO, and it sends a really strong signal to Vladimir Putin as well about the strength and the unity of NATO as an organization. Let's remember that at the beginning of this conflict, one of the long-term strategic goals for Vladimir Putin was to undermine NATO and to weaken it as an organization. But really, his actions have done just the opposite. I mean, look where we are right now. NATO is about to grow, not to shrink. And the members that are in NATO right now seem to be more committed than ever, not less committed to the organization. So he really worked against himself there. Now, we should mention that the two countries that are joining now, their bid is being temporarily blocked, at least at this point, by just one person, and that's the president of Turkey, Recep Erdogan, who, with one veto, can actually block their joining. So at this point, it seems some of our European allies say that they're going to try to work President Erdogan behind the scenes, but certainly something that's on the table today for the White House as they continue to discuss this NATO expansion. Adrian.
You know, Joe, President Biden has a really busy day today. After these important meetings, he travels to South Korea. What's his trip about there?
Yeah, that's right, Adrian. So on paper, that trip is going to be talking to our Asian allies about trade, about the supply chain issues that we've had, and also the threat of North Korea. So he's going to be meeting with leaders from South Korea and from Japan and a few other Asian nations. But just like the meeting with the leaders of Finland and Sweden is kind of sending a signal to Russia, this Asian trip is also about sending a signal to China in much the same way, that if there is an invasion of Taiwan, which a lot of people are speculating is in the works for China, that the response from the United States is going to be much like the response to the invasion of Ukraine. So it's also a symbol about unity. And certainly as they talk about discussions economically in Asia, they have one eye on China as well. That's certainly going to be an important symbol for the president as he makes that trip there. Adrian.
All right. Thank you so much, Joe. Still ahead, violent crime. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click on the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.